What's up, everybody? Welcome to BTM, to the Basketball Time Machine, the podcast with former NBA players about former NBA players. Before we get to today's guest, just make sure you hit that subscribe button so you always get notified once you upload a new podcast. Today's guest played in the NBA from 1989 until 2002. Chucky Brown, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Chucky, growing up, who was your idol?
As far as sports goes,
Yes.
I would say Dr.J was my idol as far as sports goes. I liked how I hated the 76ers growing up in New York. I hated everything about Philly other than a cheesesteak sandwich. But I liked the way Dr.J carried himself. You never heard about him getting in any trouble. He seemed just like a good guy, you know what I'm saying? So Dr. J would be like my sports idol that I liked growing up.
All right. I'm seeing Nike basketball sneakers behind your couch. Right. Are you still hooping?
Right. No, I don't play anymore. I play with my kids. That's about it. But I don't go out and compete anymore. I was competitive for a long time. So, about 20 years from high school, college, and professional. It was about 20 years of being competitive and, training and all that. So I don't really play anymore. I've had my days of playing. I'm good.
Okay, so the shoes are just decoration.
Yeah. Yeah, just decoration.
All right. So you were drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers in 1989 in the second round. What do you recall from the day of the draft?
I just recall sitting in my house. My cousins were over my house, and my mother and father, and my sister was there, and just sitting watching the draft, just waiting for my name to be called. That was about it. I remember it being to hear your name called. You actually get the phone call a couple of picks before, so they'll tell you, like, Cleveland called and said, like, all right, if you're there, we're going to take you. So coming up, when you're going to be picked. So it might have been a couple of teams ahead of them. So I was just waiting. And then when the Cavaliers select, you just kind of sit there. And then he said, Chucky Brown, yeah, all right. So yeah, I remember that.
Were you excited playing on the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah. It was, it was new for me. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of people had doubted me. But I had believed in myself, coming from where I came from. Nothing was easy, so I wasn't expecting anything to be easy. So I had to work for everything. So, yeah, I was very excited.
So your team was so deep. You had Larry Nance, you had Mark Price, Brad Dougherty, Hot Rod Williams. How difficult was it for you to find your role on the team?
It wasn't difficult to find a role. I think it was difficult to find minutes because it was such a veteran team. It was difficult not to get frustrated coming from being all ACC, third team All-American. And then you come into a situation where you got to start over again. I think that was difficult. And I had to be patient, as far as that went. But it wasn't difficult to find a role. I think I knew going in, I had already done that as a freshman, where when I came in as a freshman, in order for me to get on the floor, I had to play defense and rebound. So I just figured it was the same thing. And those things that were things that I was good at already. So that was how I got on the floor.
You remember your first NBA game?
I remember my first preseason game. Yes, and I remember my first NBA game. Yes, I do. I remember opening night playing against the Boston Celtics and Larry Bird. And
wow.
I remember watching Larry Bird on television. I remember my first preseason game playing against the Knicks. And I was real nervous then. And I remember thinking, we're playing the Knicks and, the clock starts running at 20. And it was like 17 minutes left on the clock for the game start. And I remember seeing Rod Strickland run on the floor, then Patrick Ewing, and I said, oh, man, they made it to the game. I was hoping they didn't make it because I was nervous. So, but things went well after that.
You're honest, man.
Yeah, hey, why not?
So that season was Mark Price's breakout season. How was it playing with such a true pass-first point guard?
It was great. I played against Mark in college. I was a freshman, he was a senior. So it was great because all you have to do, you run the floor, get open, and he finds you, pass you the ball. So I mean, that was great. It was easy.
In your rookie season, you started 35 games and you played
Right.
18 minutes a game,
Right.
which is not common for a second round pick.
Right.
How did you convince Lenny Wilkins to give you that much trust?
Well, what happened was, actually, I was projected to go in the first round, and I had some back issues that teams were concerned about, and I've slipped to the second round. I was projected to be like a top 15 pick, but what happened was people got hurt, and Lenny had to play me. So because I missed the summer camp because I hadn't signed my contract. So my agent decided not to go to camp. So that was kind of being held against me. They had guys playing in front of me that I didn't feel like was better than me. But I still came to practice every day, and my mission was to just destroy them in practice and make them play me. And then I got lucky where guys got hurt. I don't wish nobody to get hurt, but the guys got hurt. Then I was forced to play, and then I went out and did a good job. So then he had no choice, really.
All right. In your second season, Mark Price get hurt, Hot
Yep.
Rod gets hurt, and
Yep.
your team doesn't make the playoffs. What do you remember from that season?
I remember when Mark got hurt. I remember they had just started doing these advertisements on the floor, and they had these roller things on the outside of the advertisement, and he was going for a loose ball, and he stepped on one of those rollers, funny, and tore his ACL. I mean, that was a long year. We were a good team. We had traded Ron Harper my rookie year. So we were looking, to do some things. And then when he got hurt, I mean, he was pretty much the guy that made us go. He got Larry the ball, he got Hot Rod the ball, he got me the ball, he got Brad Daugherty the ball, and then he was able to get his own as well. So, I mean, I remember that being a long, tough season, and we struggled a lot.
You just mentioned Ron Harper.
Yep.
To me, one of the most underrated players in NBA history. Could you do me a favor and tell our listeners and the younger generation, how good Ron Harper was before the Chicago Bulls days?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my rookie year, I remember we played in Chicago. So this was like the big matchup. Jordan, Pippen, them Bulls. Them Bulls. This was the year the Pistons won it my rookie year, but this was the last year they're back to back, I think it was. But we play in Chicago, and Jordan has 54 points, and Ron has 40. So, I mean, Ron wasn't Mike to say, but he could hold his own, and we lost to the Bulls in overtime. So that tells you right there how good he was. Ron could play point guard whenever Mark went out, and he was the off guard, when Mark was in. But a lot of times, because Mark shot it so well, Ron would run the offense and let Mark run off of screens and use his ability. So Mark didn't have to handle the ball as much because he was a smaller frame and didn't want him to get beat up, during the game. And Ron could take it. But Ron was tough, man. He was tough, even when he was with the Bulls, he went, when he got traded to the Clippers, he actually turned the Clippers around, got them to the playoffs, and I don't know if people remember the name that he developed. They started calling him Hollywood Hawk. So people don't remember that, but yeah, Ron was probably, Jordan was the best guard. Ron was like could have been the second best guard in the league. And you're talking, Mitch Richmond, you're talking Clyde Drexler, you're talking Reggie Miller. All those guys were in the league. Ricky Pierce, all those guys were in the league. And Ron could have been arguably the second best guard. And I'm sure he was one of the guys that gave Mike, his biggest problems.
Absolutely, absolutely. In 1992, you get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, the post-Magic Johnson era, but still Los Angeles is Los Angeles. How was that experience for you?
Oh, it was great. Actually, I got released from Cleveland. What happened was
Oh,
things weren't going well, and I asked for my release because I felt like I should have been playing more. So, as a young guy, I didn't feel like my career was going to last long. So I'm like, look, I'm trying to do what I can while I can. So I asked for my release. They released me. Lakers ended up picking me up off waivers. After I cleared waivers, they picked me up. But the experience was there. That was the year that Magic had contacted the virus because Magic was around. He was still around a lot. He still came around the team. Like him and Kareem came around a lot. But that experience was great, man. I mean, the Laker organization back then, Dr. Buss was running it. I don't know how they do things now, but Magic is there now, so Magic knows how Dr. Buss ran it. But I mean, they treated everybody from 1 to 12, very good. I mean, that was one of the franchises I hated to leave, but it was great. I mean, the weather in LA is great every day. Every day we going to the beach in January, February, we going to the beach. The only thing I didn't like about LA, around Christmas time, you don't know it's Christmas time because the weather's so nice. You know what I'm saying? So it rains a little bit in January, but it was a great experience. I'm glad I got to experience that. Me being an East Coast guy, it's great to experience that West Coast.
all right. So after you played for the Dallas Mavericks and in the CBA, you played in Houston, which was probably the most successful time of your career.
Yeah.
Playing with Clyde Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon. That team was loaded. What was the energy of that team?
Oh, it was a great energy there. It was fun playing there because you had a group of guys. From top to bottom, we probably weren't better than a lot of teams we beat. But the reason why we beat them is because everyone knew their role and everyone did their job. So, it was just a fun team to play on because everybody sacrificed a part of their game for the other guy. You sacrificed Kenny sacrificed for me. I sacrificed for Sam. Sam sacrificed for Dream. Dream sacrificed for Clyde. Clyde sacrificed for Mario. So everybody was sacrificing for one another, and we all had the common goal of wanting to win.
You beat the Orlando Magic in their prime. Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, Nick Anderson. And even though you were the current NBA champs, you were the underdogs. What was your mindset going into the finals, so before the first game?
Before the first game, I mean, we knew they were a young team, dangerous team. We had just beaten Utah. We had just beaten San Antonio. We had just beaten Phoenix. Everyone was favored over us, but we ended up beating them. We beat Utah in 5. We beat Phoenix in 7, and we beat San Antonio in 6. We had gone on the road. We had won Game 5 in Utah on the road. So then we go to Phoenix. We get blown out on the road, the first 2. We ended up winning Game 7 on the road. So that carried into San Antonio, where we won the first 2 games on the road, lost the next 2 home. Then we won again on the road, and then we closed them out in Houston. And so then when we go to Orlando, we're not really concerned with the crowd. It's the finals now, so we're rolling. But we're concerned about them as a young team and trying not to let them get too much confidence. We're an older team. We know they want to run up and down. We kind of want to take it slow, take it easy, and just have a nice battle. So going in, we knew it was going to be a tough series, but we just didn't want them to establish any confidence.
And when do you start feeling like, okay, we can beat these guys?
I would say, during the game, they had a big lead in Game 1, so we were kind of like, wow, these guys, this is something we hadn't seen,
They were killing you in the beginning.
They were killing us in the beginning, but we ended up getting back in the game, but Kenny hit like 7 threes, and we got back in the game, and then when Nick Anderson missed those free throws, I think that did a world of damage to them, because we ended up winning the game. And we felt like after we won that game, we felt like, all right, we good to go. We can play with them. We need to stop them from doing this, getting out running. We need to get back on defense and make them work a little bit in the half court and make certain people beat us. And that's what we did. And we felt like after we got game 2, we felt like, all right, we're back in front of our home crowd. We got them now, so we don't want to come back to Orlando. So let's take care of business. We did not want to lose game 3. If we'd have lost game 3, it would have been a little different. But once we won game 3, we knew the series was over. We're like, they're not going to beat us 4 times in a row. That is not going to happen.
Only a few players win NBA championship. What was that feeling like, winning NBA championship, working so hard to earn that position? Now you finally have it.
Oh, it was great, man, because there were many times that we could have. I can remember in Utah, we're going back to Utah for game 5. Nobody wins in Utah, especially the John Stockton, Karl Malone era. Nobody wins up there. So I remember thinking like, man, this could be it. We could be going home. We had such a great season. Then we won that game. Then we go to Phoenix. We're blown out the first 2 games, we lose. Go back to Houston, win game 3. So we feel like we got a shot then, but we feel like we got to win game 4. They not blow us out, but they beat us game 4. So now we go back to Phoenix down 3-1. And, they're saying little things in the newspaper, which is the worst thing you want to do is give an athlete motivation, So they're saying little things in the paper like, we ain't coming back to Houston and this, that, and the other. So then we're kind of in the locker room like, oh, really? Like, okay, all right. Well, let's see what happens. Then we get to game 5 and Clyde is sick. So he has to get an IV. He's not feeling well. So I remember that was my best game of the playoffs. And I remember thinking when Clyde was sick, like, you know what? I ain't ready to go home. So I said, why not? Somebody need to step up. Why not me? So I had my best game of the playoffs, and we ended up winning in overtime. And we knew then we had them. So we said, all right, they didn't want to come back to Houston. So we go back to Houston, game 6, we blow them out. We just destroy them. So game 7, we're down 10 at halftime, and I just remember Dream going, we walking in at halftime, and, some of us were kind of like, dang, we got this close, we don't want to lose to these clowns, they've been talking all this junk. And I remember Dream saying, we got them right where we want them. So I was like, well, damn, we down 10, and I said, all right, well, if big fella say that, then we good, So then we go out, and that's when Mario hit the shot, because they had been talking all game. Game 7, Joe Klein had been talking a lot of junk, and that's when Mario blew the kiss of death to him.
Yes.
Well, that was, a lot of people don't know, that was because Joe Klein had did it to us in third quarter. Like, he was doing that, all this. So then when we had our opportunity, Mario hit the shot.
That
then
backfired.
Mario was like, hey, back at you, you know what I'm saying? So that's where it came from. Joe Klein started. It wasn't just Mario talking trash. We weren't a team that talked a lot. You know what I'm saying? A lot of teams talk to us.
All right. You just mentioned Hakeem Olajuwon.
Right.
Every single time on, like, for example, First Take or any NBA show, when they talk about the best centers to ever play the game, like the best 2 or 3, Hakeem never gets mentioned, and it kills me. Because that
really,
it's always Kareem with Chamberlain and Bill Russell, and they're all great, amazing players. But when it comes to being versatile, Hakeem was the best ever.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this: I didn't see Wilt play. Wilt had astronomical numbers. I mean, 118 games of 50 points. Wilt had to be one of the best. Okay, I'll give him that. I didn't see Bill Russell play all that much, but the thing that gets mentioned with Bill is the 11 championships. That's what gets mentioned. Okay, cool. But as far as my top centers, I got to go with Kareem. I think Kareem is the greatest player of all time, even over Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is the second best player of all time. The reason why I picked Kareem as the greatest of all time is because Kareem had an unstoppable shot. Kareem changed the game, dunking and all that stuff. They wouldn't allow you to dunk because of Kareem. So Kareem is my greatest player.
He changed the game. He had the fadeaway jump shot of Michael.
But Mike didn't have an unstoppable shot.
His fadeaway?
Kareem. But everybody else shot the fadeaway. Kareem has an unstoppable shot that nobody else has been able to duplicate.
That is true. Okay, that is
true.
A
lot of people shoot the fadeaway. Right? A lot of people. So you're a Jordan fan, I see.
I was just about to turn the interview off when you said Jordan's not the best player to ever play.
You see, you're a Jordan fan. Well, see, now this is no disrespect to Mike. Don't get me wrong. Mike is a bad dude. But for me, Kareem is the greatest because he had a shot that's never been duplicated. Nobody can do the sky hook. You knew it was coming, and you couldn't stop it. And even when Kareem was 38, Kareem played in the finals against the Celtics. And Kareem still dropped like 38 points, had like 17 rebounds, whatever that big game was, and the Lakers won the NBA Finals at 38. Now, you're talking about a big man at 7'2".
Okay, but you remember Jordan playing for the Wizards at the age of 41, still dropping 50.
Okay. But was the Wizard in the playoffs?
No, but that's because his team sucked.
Okay, I'll give you that, but still. Kareem, to me, is the GOAT because the skyhook has never been duplicated. You know, the fadeaway shot, I can shoot a fadeaway. I shoot a fadeaway all the time. You know what I'm saying? And field goal percentage. I mean, I think Mike was more of a volume guy. He wasn't really an efficient guy. Like Kobe was a volume guy too. He got, you know, like there were nights where Mike went, 9 for 25.
That's
you know what
true.
I'm saying? Kareem didn't have those nights. You know what I'm saying? Even though he played closer to the basket, but still, Kareem faced double teams. Jordan faced double teams. You had to design defenses to stop Jordan. But I just think that a 7'2" guy doing what Kareem did, back in the era when every night you had to play against a big. You don't have those bigs anymore. And you go back and look at the stats of what Kareem did to Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, his first few games he struggled with. Even though Wilt was old from what I hear, Kareem basically destroyed Wilt. And I heard Wilt Chamberlain in an interview say that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the toughest guy he played against. So that right there leads me to my decision about Kareem being the greatest center. Right after Kareem, I got Dream. I got Dream and I got Moses Malone.
Yes.
After that, because Moses Malone taught Dream.
Absolutely.
He schooled Dream. So those are my three centers. But we can have that greatest of all time player another discussion another time, though, because I like to debate with the Jordan people.
Oh, man, I got a Jordan jersey hanging up my wall. Don't you see that?
I see the Bird jersey back there.
Yeah, Bird is one of my favorite players. Oh,
okay.
Man. I see there's no changing your mind when it comes to Kareem, but okay, I accept it.
Right. I don't argue with people, though, that if they, you know what I'm saying? It's like 1A and 1B. If you say Michael Jordan is the greatest, I'm not going to dispute that. You know what I'm saying? That you can say that, and I won't say, long you ain't, like my top five is probably I go Kareem, I go Jordan, I go Magic, I go probably Bird, then Dream.
Okay, you got exactly my top five of all time, 100%. That's exactly my top five.
That's my top five. So basketball then. You
now we finally got common ground and we can agree.
Right.
Talking about Larry Bird, you just mentioned him.
Right.
To the younger generation who only can see the highlights, can you please tell them what a special player Larry Bird was, not being athletic at all, but still outsmarting basically everybody on the court, always being clutch when it mattered, and just being that special type of player?
Yeah, well, Bird was very cocky. He talked a lot of trash. I remember my rookie year playing against him, and I was guarding him. So I was much more athletic, much quicker, everything. So I remember him coming off a screen, and I'm glued to his shirt. I'm like, man, he ain't gonna get this off on me. So I remember him catching the ball and not even looking at the basket, turning and shooting. It came off a screen from McHale, turned, shot it. So I turn to look, and it goes in. So I'm like, oh, okay. So we running down court, and he whispers in my ear. He says, you got to get on me tighter than that, Brown. And I was just like, and I started laughing. I was like, yeah, you're right. So I'm not going to argue, with a legend, and because you can't win. So I just was like, oh, okay, you got that one, man. So I just ran on down court. But then I always remembered that. And that kind of motivated me for when I played against him. I always had good games against him after that game, though. So, but yeah, he was a very cocky guy.
But he could back it up every time.
Wasn't very athletic. Well, he could back it up, though. He could back it up. Anybody who want to see Larry Bird, just tell him to YouTube the 3-point shooting contest when he needed like one more point, and it was a 2-point ball left. He shot the ball and raised the one finger up and walked off the court. That tells you who he was right there. So tell him to YouTube that. They want to know about Bird.
Talking about the cockiest player in the game, one of your teammates, I think his nickname was Mad Max or something.
Oh, Vernon, yeah.
That guy was crazy, but also in a good way. I think he's probably one of the best teammates you can ask for.
Yeah.
Do you have any funny stories about Vernon?
Vernon, I got a funny story about Vernon. Vernon was a guy, Vernon's a good guy. Vernon's one of my better friends. I still talk to Vernon now. He lives not too far from me. But he was, like I said, the best teammate. If there was anything that gonna pop off, a fight or something like that, you'll see Vernon jump in the front. This ain't going down. You know what I'm saying? So he was a good guy to like just go out with, what have you. But a funny story, we were playing in Seattle, and Vernon, I think a lot of people know about this story, but I think they told it on one of the other documentaries that they did on the Rockets.
Gary?
No, not Gary. We were playing in Seattle. It's halftime. We were walking to the back of the locker room. So Vernon had a habit of spitting on the floor. So he was spitting on the floor as we walking back, and so he's spitting. So we get in the locker room, and he's spitting on the floor in the locker room. So Dream says to him, "Hey, Vernon, stop spitting. It's disrespectful." So Vernon says, "You don't tell me what to do. I do up to it." He kept spitting, So Dream goes, "Okay, you want to fight? Let's fight." So, they get into it. Dream gets the best of them. So we break them up. So Vernon starts spitting again. He will tell y'all, I don't care what you do. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what you do. So Dream says, you want some more? So Vernon grabbed a chair and said, "Yeah, this time I'm ready for your big ass." So we break it up. So we get that settled. So Rudy get that settled. So then we go out. First play of the second half is a pick and roll with Dream and Vernon.
Oh, no way.
Run the pick and roll. Yeah, run the pick and roll. Dream comes off the pick and roll. Vernon hits Dream rolling to the basket for a dunk. They go down court and high five. And we were sitting on the bench like, man, if these people only knew what was just going on back here. So that's one of my funny stories about Vernon. He was a great guy, though. He was a great guy. It didn't take nothing personal. It wasn't personal with him.
So your NBA career ended in 2002.
Right.
What would you consider the highlight of your career, except for the championship?
Highlight of my career, except for the championship. Playing wise, okay, this is a highlight maybe people don't know about, but I told all my friends about. We were playing in Madison Square Garden. I was with the Rockets in 1996. We were playing in the Garden against the Knicks, and I grew up in New York, so I love going back to the Garden to play. Got to see some of my old childhood friends and stuff like that. So we're playing in the Garden. So first quarter, I got like 10 points in the first quarter. So I score a basket, and I'm running down court down there by where Spike Lee is sitting. And I hear Spike Lee say, "Who's guarding Brown?" And that was just like,
wow.
like Spike Lee knows who I am. So that is a highlight of our career right there. I tell people that story when I get a chance to.
Well, it's a good one. It's a good one. If you could have played in any era, what would it be?
As far as for the competition, I would like to play in the era that I played in. I thought the competition was great. Every night you had to bring it. But as far as the money, I'd like to play in this era. These dudes make a lot of money, man. So as far as the money goes, I like to play in this era. But competition-wise, the era that I played in, it was very competitive. You had to bring it. So, and I was able to last 13 years in that era. So I I think I did something right.
You would be an alien in today's NBA because you're so physical.
Right.
Who would guard you?
I like guys like Patrick Beverly. I like guys like Draymond Green. I like those type of guys. It's tougher to play. I think the guys today are not as physical. Like we did a lot of free weights, Olympic style training, and I think that prevented the injuries as well. But I think these guys today don't lift the weights like we did. But I think these guys today are more athletic.
True. Absolutely.
Than we were, you know what I'm saying? But they're just not as physically strong. And, it's like you leave a game, it's like a fight. You sore after the game. I remember playing against Dennis Rodman and coming home sore, not even wanting to eat dinner, just I wanted to go to sleep. It was a battle, you know what I'm saying? So, Charles Oakley, the Anthony Masons, Otis Thorpe, those guys aren't. You see the guys today are built a lot different. They're really thin now. Even like Antetokounmpo is a very thin guy. Draymond Green is not really a big physical. I mean, he's physical, but he's not really a big guy. So you don't see those guys anymore like that we had to deal with. But I do think the guys today are more athletic than we were.
All right. The last question for today. Any player you would have loved to play with?
Any player that I would have loved to play with, I probably have two that I would have loved to play with back in my era. One was Michael Jordan, of course. Just I know, just seeing like Dream every night. When you see the greatest of all time or the greatest of that particular era play every night, it's like they amaze you every night, and you get to see them in practice. You get to see their work habits. You get to see their work ethic and what they do, and it makes you want to do those things too. But I think Michael Jordan is a guy that I would love to have played with, just because I think there would have been easy opportunities there, because he demanded so much attention. And another guy I wish I could have played with probably would be Patrick Ewing.
Oh, wow.
I was always a big fan of Patrick. Just to see like his work ethic and just to have that guy. Like I know how fun it was to play with Dream behind you. So if you get beat, he coming over. I can remember playing games where my guy might have been taking a shot over me and I'd feel a hand on my shoulder and it would be Dream, coming over to block somebody's shot. So I think that Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan are the two guys that I wish I could have played with at some time.
Chucky Brown, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, man. It was fun.